Hi, this is Shawnee Lavender, the Conscious Moms Coach. And today I'm excited to be talking to you about one of my favorite subjects, which is connection. And specifically today, what I want to share are some ideas of specific things that you can say and also that you can do to more readily connect with your children. Now, I'm going to focus on children. However, you can use this really with anybody in your life. But I'm going to focus it on children because that's what I'm about as a parent coach, is our relationships with our children and really forming deeply connected, lifelong, mutually supportive relationships. So that's where my focus is. And what I wanted to say before I begin to share some of the specific ideas is that here's what I noticed, and here's part of why this subject came up for me to talk about today, is that so often in parenting, we really get focused on the doing. And as a friend of mine likes to say, we're really down in the weeds rather than being up in sort of an airplane, getting a 36,000 foot view. We are down at a 2-inch view, if you would, because we're so into the responsibilities of parenting, making lunches, changing diapers, helping our children with homework, all the things that each day involves. And often what I hear from my clients and from other parents is that really there is this sense of not having a deep connection with our children because there's lots of factors, and that's not just one. Because part of the reason, though, is that, again, we just get into that sort of narrow tunnel vision of what's the next thing to do, what's on my to-do list, what do I need to help the kids with, what's next on their agenda, things like that. So that is going to be part of modern life, certainly, and it's always probably going to be part of parenting because there are responsibilities that we have and things that we do want to accomplish with our families. And yet, to me, this is based on my personal experience, the richness of our relationships with our children is based in our ability to connect with them. Those really deep, lasting memories we have are the ones where we felt really connected, where we were really present with each other, where we were very focused on our beingness with them and their presence with us. And personally, for me, what I've experienced in my life, I was adopted at birth. And so even though there was a lot that was wonderful, of course, about that, for me, getting, to go to a wonderful family that I had, there was still that separation, that tearing away from the only mother I had known, which was the woman who gave birth to me, who I happen to be reunited with now, have been for over 20 years. But what the point is, that connection that she and I formed through gestation, even though it wasn't necessarily always at a conscious level for me and maybe even for her, is that connection got severed. And so that was early life for me. That was at birth. And I'm not the only person who's had that experience, but that was part of my early experience. Then my adoptive mom, who I call my mom then, who raised me, she died fairly suddenly when I was 21. And so that connection that had been formed over those 21 years was severed. The connection, I've learned how to connect spiritually in other ways with her now that she's not in her physical form, but nonetheless, the connection that I knew and understood with her was severed. And for me, those early losses have really attuned me to the deep, deep value that there is in connecting in the here and now, because there is not a guarantee of tomorrow. And I hope for me and for all of you watching that there absolutely will be a tomorrow, and there'll be many, many, many tomorrows. However, none of that is guaranteed. And so when we miss opportunities to connect in the present, we are basically tossing away what's been given to us, these gifts that we have, to bet on something to come that may or may not be there. And that's not a scare tactic. That's what's true, is if we miss the opportunity today, we may not have the same opportunity tomorrow. The other piece that I know for myself is true is that I find that the doing of parenting is a million times easier. Literally, it is that much easier when I am connected with my daughter. Not just in that moment, because connection, as many of you know, is a really essential piece to working with our children and guiding them and instructing them and moving through the doing pieces of the day. However, what I mean personally is that when I have that really deep sense of connection, and my daughter does as well, that parenting is really a lot easier. It's simply joyous and fun and really pretty effortless most of the time. Now, it doesn't mean I don't ever hit bumps with my daughter. Those of you that have watched any of my Facebook Lives know we definitely hit bumps. We're human. We're always going to do that. Connection doesn't mean those bumps are going to go away. However, it really does make things a lot smoother. And for me, a lot more fulfilling. I go to bed at night. That's my bed back there. I go to bed at night, and I really, most days, I am so grateful, really overwhelmingly grateful for the opportunities I had that day to be with my family, connect, and really experience life together. And so I don't know about you, but for me, it's one of the things that I tell my husband sometimes is that I find that I definitely want to be here for a lot longer. I'm 45 right now, and I want to be here for a lot longer. I'm talking at least double my age, right? So that'd be 90, right? However, I also know that if I were to die, and well, maybe not in this moment, hopefully that'd be really not a good Facebook Live, but if I were to die very soon, that I would die happy because I have this deep fulfillment that comes to me on a daily and momentary basis. So I don't have that sense. Yes, there are things I yearn for and things I want to create in my future that I envision having and that I hope I will have. However, I don't have that sense of, well, I need to do that, or this needs to happen in order for me to be deeply fulfilled and happy. It's, to me, that's, wow, isn't that a gift that I've been able to receive? And for me, a big part of that is from my ability to really connect and be present with my daughter and my husband and the people I love in a more wide circle. So that's the backstory. That's my experience and my understanding of watching other people, and so just wanted to set that out there before I share with you these ideas. So I really have today, I want to share 3 specific things you can say to connect with your child more deeply, and then specific thing you can do to foster a deeper connection with your child. So here we go. Number 1, one of the things to say with your child or to your child is, I hear you. Now, you can make it that simple, I hear you, or you can think of, what did they just say or share with you? And what can you reflect back, as if you were a mirror, to reflect back that you've heard them? So if your child says that, I really don't want to go to school today, you might simply say, I hear you. I hear that. You might also say, I hear that you really don't want to go to school today. And maybe you can tell by the look on their face, or maybe they actually say an emotion word. They say they feel sad, or they're frustrated, or they're lonely, whatever they say. you can reflect that back to them. You can say something like, if they've said, I don't want to go to school, I really miss you when I'm there, or I feel lonely there, or I don't like it. So I gave several examples there, but so you could say, instead of I hear you could say, I hear that you really don't want to go to school today. You don't like it there. Or I hear you don't want to go to school today because you're really missing me when you're there. I hear that. It's just not many words. It's simply letting them know that, yes, you got it. You hear them, you understand. And to me, that's the basis of empathy. That's really what we're going for. It's so that that other person, in this case, your child, has that sense of really being gotten. They were understood. You get where they're coming from, what their perspective is. And that's so important for connection because connection's a two-way, right? That yes, we can feel connected to somebody else, but if this person doesn't feel connected, then we're not fully connected. So empathy is one of the ways that other people feel more receptive to connecting, because they have that sense of like, oh yeah, you get me, you're open, you're receiving what it is I'm putting out into the world. It's that full acceptance of whatever is true for that other person. Even if you held a different opinion, it's not that, you can't have your own ideas. It's simply that you're creating that energetic space that really says, yeah, I get you, I hear you, I see you. And so when you do that, that opens for them a space to more readily connect. So that's the number one thing you can say is, I hear you, or reflect back what you've heard your child say to you. The second thing you can say is, this is when they've been saying something to you, or maybe they've sort of dropped a little seed of conversation in. You can say, tell me more. Or you can ask it as a question. Would you tell me more about that? I'm curious, or I'm interested, or I'd like to know more. Some version of basically saying, hey, what you've just started to say, or what you've been saying, I would like to know more about. Will you open up further and give me more details, or explain more, or tell me what that was like? That's basically what you're setting the groundwork for. And obviously, this is one that you would want to do with some enthusiasm or interest. So again, you're also conveying that, yeah, I want to know you more. In fact, I used to say to my daughter when she was younger, she's 7 now, but I used to say to her, I love, seeing who you're becoming. And she would be like, I'm me, that's who I am. I'm like, I know, but it's like seeing your unfolding you-ness in front of me. And so it's that same kind of thing. It's like, yes, you know your child, so to speak, because you live with them, and obviously you see them and you interact with them. And yet that sense of, yes, your child has always been and will always remain this unique individual who you don't fully know. You don't know every interior piece of them. And so it's that way of opening up them to say, hey, I really care about you, and I would like to know more of who you are. And so it's that invitation for them to be revealing about themselves, not in necessarily any, like, oh, they have to expose this or that or tell me their innermost secrets. It's not that. It's like, yeah, I just want to know more about what's that like for you, or what was that like, or how did you find that experience? So you're saying, hey, I want to know you better, basically. The third thing you can say, and this is one of my favorites, is thank you for being in my life. Some version of that where you're literally simply thanking them for their presence in your life experience. So often as parents, we get really focused on what our children do, what qualities they have, what attributes, and we acknowledge them for, gee, I like how you shared that toy, or I appreciate you telling me the truth. And all those are great to, acknowledge actual things that we notice in our children. And yet that deep sense of belongingness that we all crave. We want to belong. We don't necessarily want to fit in this from Brene Brown. It's also my opinion. Fitting in is like that way of figuring out how you're supposed to show up so that you will fit in to whatever's expected of you. So that's sort of the square peg round hole type thing. It's like, oh, well, how can I get myself to be accepted by this group or these people? Fitting in, not so fun. That's about changing who we are to fit somebody else's mold. Belonging is we belong here. We fit. That's like a puzzle piece. We're just in. We naturally are there. That's us, and we're welcomed and accepted fully exactly as we are. And so to me, that's really something essential for our children to know from us, is that you belong here. And that's sort of that when you give gratitude for thank you for being in my life, it's like, yeah, you belong here. I'm so grateful that you are here exactly as you are, not because you can do this thing or you add this quality to our family. You can appreciate those, yeah, but it's really that your beingness has brightened my life, has added value, has made my life more rich and fulfilling. That's a wonderful thing to hear. So you want your child to know that exactly as they are, you love them and you're grateful for their presence. And again, that invites that connection because they feel that, and they feel that sense of acceptance that, oh yeah, okay, I belong here, and mom's glad I'm here, or dad's glad I'm here. So that again invites that deep connection, because it's now you're two people rather than an adult to a child, or a caregiver to a dependent. You don't have that relationship anymore. It's these two human beings who are connected at a deeper level. So those are three things you can say, and I'll just repeat them now for those of you who've just popped in. Number one, I hear you. Number two, tell me more. Number three, thank you for being in my life. So the other thing I wanted to share was a thing that you can actually do to help foster connection with your child. So this one is challenging for a lot of people. Sort of going back to what I was saying at the beginning, so often we get caught in that doing cycle. It's like we're in the washing machine of life, right? We're just going and going and going, spinning and spinning and spinning. And so this can be challenging for that reason, because a lot of us are living, in my opinion, lives that are overfull. And so it makes it challenging to do this next one, but you can do it. I believe in you, and I know you can do it. I'm also looking at this funny light that's shining from my window on my face. Anyway, so the joy of doing Facebook in front of an open window. So this to do is getting still near your child. Now, depends on what your child is doing, but this is literally like getting yourself physically in proximity to your child. You can sit next to them or sit nearby them, but you want to slow yourself down. Ideally, really be physically still. Just sit there. You're not going to be twiddling your thumbs. You're not going to be doing it. You're not going to be reading or looking at your phone. Just sitting there. You're just being. And even for me, like just sitting here now, it can feel a little like, oh, I should do something. I got to get up. You don't. Just sit there. You'll be okay. The other thing that I like to do is you can do this in a even bigger way if you would. And for that, what you would do is you would lie down near your child. Particularly on the floor is great. And here's why. Most of the time, unless you're very different from most of the people I know, most people don't just randomly lay down on the floor and be still. So it's novel, it's different, and so it's going to catch your child's attention at some level. So that can be a really fun thing to do. But the main thing about this is that you're doing two things. You're getting yourself near your child. So again, you might be sitting right next to them on the couch, or you might be sitting in a chair near them. You might be sitting across from them at the kitchen table or dining room table. So you're putting yourself in physical proximity, which it's much easier to connect from a heart-to-heart basis, or on a heart-to-heart basis, when we are nearby other people. As good as Facebook is, it's hard to really have a heart-heart connection. So that physical proximity makes that easier. The other thing is that slowing down piece slows us down, which is, again, usually really beneficial. And in that more slowed down state, what I find is that connection happens more naturally. It's like you just somehow get on each other's wavelength, you're there nearby. And so this sense of space and time opening up happens. And so it's easier then for one or both of you to step into that space. Now, you might be stepping in simply with your energy at the moment. If you have been go, go, go all day, maybe your connection in that moment with your child is simply by being still, and it's this energetic presence only. That's wonderful. That's rich. It might be that in sitting there for a couple minutes, you are watching them. Maybe they're still engaged with what they're doing. You watch them, and even thinking about this really touches my heart. You gain that appreciation. You're like, that's my child. That's this amazing person who came into my life. And so it's this way to reconnect with this love you have for this other person. And from that place, that is really rich for connection. They don't have to do anything even back. It's like, oh yeah, I remember. I've been getting caught up in, have they done their homework, or did they eat the right amount of food for today, or are they turning out good, whatever our minds do, because our minds do that. That's what our minds do. That really takes us away oftentimes from this human to human connection that is on offer to us. And so for me, I think that is one of the pieces of that slowing down, being still, being silent, really opens up the potential for, because when you sit and things settle out, the dust settles, the energy, the thoughts, the frenetic thoughts, can settle down a bit, and you can be with your child. It's that remembering, that recalling of, yeah, I know who you are. I know who I am. I know why we're here. Even if it's not a conscious thought, because it probably won't be at that level, although it may, it is that reconnection of yourself to their self. And it is creating that space that we often don't create in our daily lives. So I really invite you to play with that one and play with the things you can say. I like the doing one because it's so not doing, right? It's like the anti-doing, but it's that thing of putting yourself there in your child's presence in a still and quiet way, that you're there, you're being. And the words that I offered at the beginning of the video, they're similar, although they're in a verbal way of, I'm here with you, I'm here for you, I'm here connecting to you exactly as you are in this moment. So I'm going to invite you to play with those, see how that works. I would love your feedback, because I really think that when you take the time to do these things, you'll find, like I have found, that the doing of parenting, again, gets a million times easier, gets more fun, because you have that huge foundation of this deep connection. And so it's like you just plug right into that, and there you go. I invite you, if listening to me, if some of these ideas have evoked you and, touched your heart, I really invite you to bring them to your family, offer this as a gift to remind you all of the preciousness of this present moment. because again, we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen 5 minutes from now, even 5 seconds from now. So, when you set this model, when you start showing up for your children and your spouses and your friends and your family in these ways, you are really saying, you know what I'm about? I'm about being together. All the other stuff, yeah, some of it's going to get done, some of it's not going to get done. Sometimes we're going to hit bumps and it's going to be rough, and sometimes it's going to be glorious. What you're doing, though, is you're saying that no matter what, and anytime and all the time, that I'm here and this is what I'm about. And I think that what you'll find is when you practice showing up in this way with your children, that they are going to be drawn to you, like bees to nectar. They crave this. This is what we as human beings, we are connection. I was going to say machines. We're not connection machines. We are connected beings, and we are seeking that deep, deep connection, heart to heart with each other. And so that is a real gift that you can give your child right now. And the next moment, if they're away right now, when they come home from school, practice one of these things with them. You can even let them know and just say, can I just sit here and watch you as you play? Can I sit and watch you do your homework? It doesn't matter. It's like, open yourself up to that opportunity to really be present with each other. And the more you do it, I think the more you'll find that they crave that and they want that. Because even though we all get distracted by social media and videos and bright, shiny things, we're human, we do that. At our fundamental core, all of us are really craving being seen and being able to see others, to really show up and be in present time with each other. So that's what I have to share today. I appreciate those of you who have been watching this live on Facebook. I also appreciate those of you who watch it on YouTube as a recording. And feel free, whichever place that you're watching at or have watched at, if there's a comment you'd like to leave, please feel free to do that. I love to connect with you in that way. And thank you for taking time to be present with me in this way. And really do let me know, because I'd love for you to have this gift of deep presence with your children and with the people you really love. So I'm Shawnee Lavender. I'm the Conscious Moms Coach. You can find me here on Facebook most Thursdays. You can also find me on Facebook in the Conscious Moms Circle. That's my Facebook group. Or you can find me at my website, ShawneeLavender.com. And you can also find me on YouTube, of course, with Shawnee Lavender Coaching. I wish you all a wonderful, connected day. Thanks so much. Bye now.